Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for More Survivalists and talking about the unfortunate case of the mass shooter in Buffalo. This 18-year-old Peyton Gendron decided to, vent his frustrations in life by massacring 10 people in a store. I saw the video. I don't advise you do it. It's the kind of thing that can be quite soul-crushing for some people. An AR-15 at extreme close distance can be terribly effective, especially when used against unsuspected, unarmed people, going about their business. A few things. Why is this happening? Well, it's a social problem. It's going to the roots of what's happening all over the world, especially in the United States. This is unfortunately very typical in the United States. Why is it very typical in the United States? Probably the same reason why lots of other things that are quite destructive to basic core values, to family, to traditional education is also falling apart and changing rapidly in the United States, even more so than other places. I know that some people don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. I have a pretty broad, view of things, given that, I'm looking at things as an outsider, and you see things in different places. It is particularly bad over there, guys. I don't know if you get to see it. I don't know how much you know of other societies, how other schools work, how other parents are involved, how the government is forming in many ways. The society in the United States is extremely toxic when you have the president of the United States talking about how it is good that we have less white people. Why is it particularly good that you have less white people in the United States? Replace that with any other specific ethnicity or skin color. Why is it that you're obsessed with having less of any kind of people in your own country? What's going to be good about that? Replace that with anything. It's good that we have less Asians. It's good that we have less brown, black, or Latino people. Why is it that you're obsessed with a specific a group of people of a certain skin color and you want them to be less of? It's a kind of message that feeds the hate that already exists in a lot of people's hearts as well. In the case of this kid, 18-year-old or already an adult, but yeah, it wasn't that he was lacking a father or a mother. Both apparently were involved in the family. Engineers seems. That doesn't mean they're good people or they're even good parents. Being a good parent is hard. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work that people sometimes don't fully understand when they get involved in this. It's not something that you can actually quit. I have 3 kids. I have one that's a little lunatic 4-year-old crazy little dude, and I have another one in university studying software engineering, right? So I've been through this and I'm still involved. It never ends. It never freaking ends. And if you want to be a horrible parent, sure, you're probably going to be having a easier time at it. But if you're going to be involved, if you're going to be present, if you're going to be worrying about how your kids are doing, then it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be about me, my time, my fun, going out with drink with my friends, doing the things I enjoy only. What about my own time? What about my own work, my career? All of these things have to be put aside, and you getting involved with this kid that you're seeing there and spending the time. And sometimes it's spending time with a parent that is a complete loser and a lunatic, and you're better off without him. I don't know exactly how life was for this kid. I can tell you a few things, though. I can tell you this kid was a loser. I can tell you this kid had no real friends. I can tell you that this kid probably was handed an AR by his father and thought, yeah, there you go, now you're a man. No, you're not a man just because someone gave you a gun. You're not a man even if you know how to shoot a gun, somewhat accurately. That's not what defines you as a person. His father obviously taught him that he was to hate people of certain skin colors and ethnicities, hating on blacks and immigrants. And we were talking about the issue of immigration this weekend with Matt. It's never okay to invade another country, either as an organized military force in the case of Ukraine, or even as an individual level when people illegally cross borders into a neighboring country. Of course, it's a lot worse when you actually have a full-blown military attack on a neighboring nation. Yeah, no joke there. But crossing illegally to another country, you are completely ignoring and breaking the laws of that country. Now, having said that, if you think that it's a walk in the park, if you think that it's easy or pleasant to be an illegal immigrant anywhere, you really need to get some more facts of life right there. It is not. In spite of what you may hear about benefits raining on them, no, it is a pretty shitty life to be an illegal immigrant, especially in the United States. Anyone that has an option is not an illegal immigrant in the United States, right? It's certainly not the thing that anyone with any kind of option chooses for himself. Usually it's going to be quite desperate people. It's going to be people that are either, about to get slaughtered by the cartels in Mexico, or they're pretty much starving, and the only future they have is going to be crossing that border and making my American dream for myself. That's probably what a lot of people. Now, if you think that crossing the desert and risking life limb and getting raped by a freaking coyote across the border, yeah, you give it a try if you think that's so pleasant. I mean, you can do that as well. Go illegally to any place and see how that goes for you. Oh no, but here's a lot better. Really? You think that? Okay. Anyway. This kid was taught that everything bad in his life, that all of his shortcomings, all of his frustrations, all of the things that he didn't have in his life, not material, but the kind of things that really matter, were all to blame on the evil black, brown, Latino, Mexican people that were invading his country, right? I mean, it is the kind of thing he probably heard from his own parents. Right. Now, this kid, the gun, was the gun a problem? Yeah, the gun was used for the crime. Does this mean that guns attack people? No, they're quite inanimate objects that unless someone is using them, they don't do a damn thing. This kid played a lot of video games. I play video games. My kids play video games their entire lives. My oldest son, playing video games is what got him interested in video games and what got him interested in software and programming. And then he mostly lost interest in the video game parts, and it's kind of difficult for me to even get him to play a video game with me because he's more interested in programming than in the actual games. And that's why he's studying that career. Encouraging, being there, being positive reinforcement. You like this, you have a passion for this, okay. How is it that this can be something cool that you can explore more and maybe make a career out of it? That's the kind of parent you should be. Just giving a kid a gun and telling him to hate black people and Mexicans and let him play video games on his own and have no life whatsoever. It's usually the case that these kids have no parents whatsoever. Broken families may be the case as well, that you have a shitty father or a shitty mother that you're a lot better off without to begin with. The Tulpin family, like 15 kids living trapped in a house, they were being starved to death. Sometimes your parents are crap and you're better off without them. Those kids, one of the older girls escaped and they finally were freed. They were chained to beds, being starved to death, while the stupid idiot mother kept buying toys for herself, keeping those in boxes. That woman kept on buying racks full of clothes, new clothes that she didn't even use on her own kids, toys for herself that she kept in boxes, piling garbage. Both parents present. Father was an engineer as well. Two morons. The kids suffer that. This kid is suffering that as well. Now, is this something that could have been avoided? Probably something more in terms of school detecting this sort of thing. Yeah, but you know what? It goes deeper than that. It's a social problem. It's a cultural problem. When you have a president that says he wants to reduce certain people from the society of the country he's president of, that feeds this kind of hate, this kind of insanity. And of course, the kid self-defined as a white supremacist that was an admirer of other mass shooters. Where was the father? Where was the mother of this kid? Did you not have a conversation about, yeah, you know what, son? Being a psychopath loser that's, slaughtering innocent people, that is not what you should be looking up to. But that was not the conversation he obviously had with the father. The father was probably either occupied with some other things, or if he was spending his time with his kid, he was not doing a good job at it. Anyway, guys, the video is quite terrible. Don't even watch it. There's a part where he starts randomly shooting people. At a point, he points a gun at a white man, and supposedly he doesn't shoot him because he's white. There's a little part there where the guy actually shrieks out. He cries out in absolute fear in a very high pitch, like, no, please, or something like that, in a very high pitched voice. Maybe something psychologically triggered that, because at a point he was just shooting like a complete lunatic, everything he saw. So I don't know if it was exactly that. He does claim to be a white supremacist himself, so let's, I guess that's what his motivation was. What can you do about this sort of thing, man? It is very difficult. The best thing you can do is be fast, not be there when the shooting starts. The first woman he shoots, it is impossible to do anything about that. You're walking into a store, he just jumps out of a car with an AR and shoots you right away. Literally nothing anyone could have done at that moment. Now you hear the shooting, can you move away? Can you find cover? Most of all, putting distance, running away. You should be able to sprint, right? I'm not talking about being a freaking athlete, but you should be able to sprint, put a bit of distance between you and the threat. That's kind of a high priority in survival, and stuff like this happens. Can you fight back? Maybe, depending on how lucky you are, depending on if you have any walls, any corners, anything to use in your advantage, get hold of him at very close distance. This is the kind of kid that when facing any kind of adversity, he would quit. Like, he had probably quit everything in his life. But anyone that, if you're on top of him and you're struggling and you get hold of that gun, you put a couple blows in this kid's face, he's going to be giving up instantly. That's super obvious. He actually got shot by one of the guards, but he was wearing body armor himself. So, he did his homework, right? In terms of, getting the gun, getting the armor, and that sort of stuff. But, sad, pathetic kid that thought that venting his frustration against black people was somehow a good idea. Guys, if you want to learn more about realistic survival and preparedness, especially for this kind of stuff, self-defense, awareness while on the street survival skills, is my book dedicated to that. Quite a lot on the self-defense aspect, firearms, and so on. In terms of economic preparedness, surviving the economic collapse, and bugging out and relocating for some of the more serious stuff where you really have to get yourself out of there. See you in the next video, guys. Take care.